Hello, I'm John Daniels. Welcome to another video on JD's class. Today we're going to be looking at 5 tips for you to be able to solve any solved problems. Now we're talking about SURD. So the first tip is this. Now in SURD you cannot add unlike terms. So just like we have here, so we have root m plus root n, and this obviously does not give us root m plus n. Root m minus root n does not give us root m minus n. So if you have a SURD form that is in this format with opposite roots, that is roots that are not of the same form, then you don't get something like this. Now if you have similar roots, that's when things work out well, but not in this format. You get something like this. So if we have similar roots like root m plus root m we get 2 root m. So it's just like having x plus x to give us 2x. But if you have this, like we said, it's just like having x plus y, which is the same thing as x plus y, and x minus y is the same thing as x minus y. It doesn't give us this and doesn't give us this. Now, the only way we can get something like this is in the next tip, which is multiplication. In multiplication, you can have root m times root m to give you root m times n. Now, that is how multiplication works. So you can have something like root 3 times root 2 to give you root 3 times 2, and that is automatically root 6. So this works out only with multiplication. Now what about if you have the same roots like root m times root m? Now we talked about root m plus root m to give you 2 root m, but for multiplication, root m times root m gives you just m. Root 2 times root 2 gives you just 2. Root 4 times root 4 gives you just 4. Now the reason is because if you have this, root 2 times root 2, you automatically get the square root of 2 squared, right? Now if 2 cancels out, the square root will just get 2. So that's just the reason for us to get that 2 as the answer. So when we have for multiplication only, we get root m times root m to give us just m. So that is a very important rule. And root 2, so we're going to root 3 now. So we'll finish with multiplication. I hope you understand it. Now rule 3 is division. Now this also is very simple. It helps you understand that you can have division format like this or division format like this. It helps you understand that if you have something like this, you can separate it into this form and division and so on. So, and let me bring a real example. So if you have let's say the roots of 2 over 4, you have something like this. This is the same thing as root 2 over root 4 to give you root 2 over 2. So that is for division and SURD. So you can have this and this, you can have this from this and have this from this. So just like that. That is for division and SURD. Now let's go to something very, very important, which is rationalization in SURD. So in SURD you can have this 1 all over root m. Now anytime you have something like this, what should come to your mind is rationalize. Now for you to rationalize means that you have to make this denominator just have a natural number. And if you look at it from what we solved, we got something like that here. Now how do you do that? If you have to rationalize, you have to multiply the top and the bottom by the denominator, by the roots of m, just like you see here. So when you do that, you get root m, and you know when we said 2 roots multiply, similar roots multiply, we just get the natural number, which is m, or we just get the entity inside the roots there. So that is how to rationalize. You multiply the top and the bottom by the denominator. You only rationalize when the denominator has a root. That's what you do. Now, what if the denominator has a root and a natural number? Well, that takes us to the 5th rule or the 5th tip, that we're going to look at, which is rationalization by conjugation. Well, if you understand this, then you will be able to understand the next tip. Now let's look at that. Rationalization by conjugation. You have here in at the denominator root 3 plus root 2, plus 2. Now, in any sort form, when you have a fraction and a root is at the denominator, it could be just a root only with no natural number, or a root with a natural number. In SURD, it is forbidden, almost forbidden, for you to have a root as the denominator. They always want you to simplify, they always want you to rationalize. And the meaning is that you have to remove that root from the denominator. Now, how do you do that for something like this? So for something like this, you're going to multiply the top and the bottom by the denominator, but this time with an opposite sign. So if you have the positive sign here, you multiply the top and the bottom by the negative sign with root 3 minus 2, root 3 minus 2. If you have a negative sign, you multiply the top and the bottom by root 3 plus 2 and root 3 plus 2 over root 3 plus 2. So the main aim for you to do that is you'll be able to get a natural number as a denominator. So that is why the signs have to change. The signs have to change because for you to get the natural numbers as the denominator. If you use the same sign here, you actually get back even more complex form of the SURD. So you can try it out on your own and see if you multiply with the positive sign, top and bottom, you obviously get a complicated form. But multiplying with the negative number, the negative sign there, we get a natural number. And we're going to do the negative sign and see that you get a natural number. So 1 over root 3 plus 2 times root 3 minus 2 over root 3 minus 2. This is going to give us root 3 minus 2 over, if we distribute this, you put something like this, we're going to have 3 minus 2 root 3, 2 root 3. This is plus 2 root 3 minus 4. So at the end of the day, we're going to have root 3 minus 2 over 3 minus 4, because this will cancel out. And obviously we have a natural number as the denominator. Then we solve further and get our final answer. So the basic aim in fractions of SURD is that they don't want to see a root or an irrational number as a denominator. So anytime you have an irrational number as a denominator or a SURD form as a denominator, you just have to rationalize. If it's just a SURD form without a natural number attached to it, like this one, if it's just this without this, then you just rationalize. But if it is in this format, then you have to rationalize by conjugation. Remember to change the signs when you're multiplying the top and the bottom. So that is it for the 5 ways or 5 tips that you need to understand any SURD problem that you may have. If you understand these tips, you can solve any SURD. So in our next video, we'll be looking at something even more important for you to be able to solve SURD, which is simplification on SURD. So check out our next video. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe.